I'm Bazzel Baz. Many of you know me as the head of Red Reddington's mercenary army on the NBC television show The Blacklist, and others know me as the founder and director of the Association for the Recovery of Children. I spent most of my life saving children who have grown to be teenagers who are now exercising their right of free speech to march in protest of gun violence, and I'm proud of all of you. So I want to offer you some wisdom so that you'll be successful in your mission to stop gun violence. This is my message to all of the teenagers in America who I love with all my heart, whose freedom I also spent most of my career fighting for against enemies, foreign and domestic, from Al-Qaeda to the common criminal on our streets. Now, I know you don't necessarily like statistics, but I want you to listen to a few and stick with me throughout what I'm going to tell you, because in the end, it'll be worth it all. The FBI Uniform Crime Report, the UCR, for 2016 shows more than 4 times as many people were stabbed to death than were killed with rifles of any kind. And because the category of rifles covers every type of rifle, this means that there would be an even greater divide between the number of people stabbed to death versus those shot to death with an AR-15 or a similar rifle. According to the FBI UCR Table 12, there were approximately 374 people shot and killed with rifles of any kind. There were 1,604 people killed with knives or cutting instruments. Table 12 also shows that more people were killed via the use of hands, their fists, or their feet than were killed by rifles of any kind. In fact, the tally shows that the death numbers were not even close. And while approximately 374 people were shot and killed with rifles, roughly 656 people were beaten to death by hands or feet. On September the 26th, 2016, the Breitbart News reported similar gaps between rifle, shotgun homicides, and stabbing homicides. The UCR figures showed the number of people killed with rifles and shotguns combined in 2015 was approximately 548. Nearly 3 times as many, approximately 1,573 people were stabbed or hacked to death. This is not to diminish the death of those who did die via a rifle, but it does show that the Democrats' relentless focus on banning assault weapons is a focus on something that is not used for homicide with anywhere near the frequency of knives and a fist and a feet. And yet, I don't see anyone protesting for the lives of those taken by knives. Is it that we're selective in who we have compassion for when it comes to life and death? Do all lives really matter in the eyes of all the students who walked out of school to march against your right as an American to own a gun? You see, guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people. And if they don't have guns, they'll use bombs. And if they don't have bombs, they'll use knives or machetes, or rocks, or bats, or cars, or whatever they can get their hands on to take another human life. I've spent much of my paramilitary career downrange doing exactly that at the order of the United Nations, taking people's weapons away. And it is exactly as I say. They made bombs, they used machetes, and they used rocks and anything else they could find in order to take human life. So what I share with you is truth, absolute truth. And if you stop and look deep inside yourself, you'll understand what I'm saying. So why all the protesting? I believe that the Democrats are using our teenagers for political gain and for the eventual erosion of our Second Amendment rights to bear arms to protect ourselves against enemies, foreign and domestic. And sadly, our teenagers do not realize that once that freedom is taken away, they're at the mercy of any tyrannical government or criminal that wishes to take advantage of them. So those in politics who are using the tender and sincere hearts of our teenagers who've lost their close friends in these recent shootings, for your political gain, I say shame on you. You may fool a few of the masses, but in the end, our teenagers in America are much smarter than that. Our teenagers know that perhaps we're focusing on the wrong thing. Perhaps we should remain in school and figure out why people hate other people so much that they're willing to take their life. Maybe we should remain in school and figure out what influences are out there that cause people to be so detached from other human beings that they're willing to take life from others. Is it the violent video games? Is it money? Is it power? Is it the music we listen to? Or is it, in fact, that we have gotten so far away from the God who created us that we no longer believe life is valuable? So my challenge to America and its teenagers is this: dig deep and not only find out what evil is causing people to hate enough to kill, but eliminate that evil. For in there lies the answer to stopping violence and murder. Find out the cause, and you will save the world from more violence. It isn't the gun. It's the person behind the gun and what motivates them to pull the trigger or detonate the bomb or swing the machete or throw the stone. And be careful not to drown in a sea of hypocrisy. You do realize that many of the leaders spearheading your movement actually enjoy the privilege of having armed personnel protect them, people with guns. The very guns these leaders are telling you and us should be banned. For example, Nancy Pelosi has an armed detail. Barack Obama has an armed detail. Are you telling me, Nancy and Barack, that you have the right to protect the lives of you and your family with guns, but I do not? That is elitism at its best. And to all of those who have marched in protest of the Second Amendment and my right to own a gun and protect myself against enemies, foreign and domestic, this is my message. When all of you are willing to stand in the gap and guard over me and my family 24 hours a day, over all innocent Americans 24 hours a day, using nothing but your bare hands to prevent a home invasion and the murder of my family, using nothing but your bare hands to prevent my car from being jacked, using nothing but your bare hands to prevent the 7-Eleven store clerk from being robbed and shot, using nothing but your bare hands to prevent the young female walking home from college from being brutally raped, and using nothing but your bare hands to prevent the child from being kidnapped by pedophiles and tortured, and every other crime that is being committed because there is nothing to deter them other than a gun, then I will listen to you. Something tells me that I'm going to be waiting a long time for you to do that. So until then, with all due respect, and again, very much love, you are nothing but noise and smoke and mirrors, and political pawns being used to erode one of the greatest freedoms Americans have, the right to protect themselves. Be smarter than that. Go after the real cause of violence. This is Bazzel Baz. That's all.